What up, though? I'm Jay Hall, and this is the AURN Podcast, and I am with my folks right here. We have been reunited. Feel like it's been such a long time. To my left is my good homegirl right here from, what's that school again?
Anyway, I'm right. Star Rock, and I'm a proud pirate. I went to University.
Star Rock is right here. My guy Envsn Best Dressed always right here.
You see how us bisons talk to each other?
Yeah. But it's a compliment though, brother.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a compliment but we have a legend, living one in the building right now, and we got to give her a big round or a table clap right here or a pound.
Woo!
Hot 97 extraordinaire. But she's been doing her thing for a moment. Miss Laura Stylez is in the building, everybody.
Woo! Wow,
yeah.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You look like life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've been living too.
You look.
So if I look a little tired, I've been living.
How old is your daughter?
She's about to be 2 on Halloween.
Oh, you're in the thick of it.
Oh, girl.
I did not like 2. I'm not even gonna lie.
Dang.
No. Be honest, and it's okay because people try to be like everything is all duckies and bunnies.
It's not.
This is the F them kids section part of the show.
I have no input. I am the fun uncle.
Yes, I already had a chat with the fun uncle. Yeah. He told me his 1, 2, and then he's like, "Okay, go back to daddy now." Yep.
I gotta go out tonight, y'all.
That is good. I mean, ever since 2020, I always try to check on somebody's well-being.
Yeah.
So when I say you look like life, I mean that. Like
Thank
you look. New York itself can be so, like, just getting here, I felt stressed. And then when you sat down, I was like, okay, we good. You know what I'm saying? So everything's been good with you since then, and the pandemic, everything, because you had a pandemic baby.
I sure did. I sure did. Yeah, it was crazy because I was like, and I talked about it on my show. You feel me. I've been so career focused forever. That was, everyone's having families around me and kids, and I was like, oh, wow, I think I have to make a decision pretty soon about what it was happening, was this future. And my partner was like dying to have kids. And I was like, we could wait. And we were traveling. Like before lockdown, I was doing some work with Red Bull, which was really, really cool. I was working with their battle rap league, but they have a really amazing battle rap league in Spanish.
Oh,
nice.
And let me tell you something. The fans and the rappers that are from all over the world, it is so beautiful to see how hip-hop has penetrated all cultures, all countries. And I was in, oh my God, so I did the rap battle league and I did DJ competitions with DJ Jazzy Jeff. So we were in Taiwan, we were in Cuba.
Wow.
I was in Jamaica, I went to Thailand, I was in Vietnam. I was in Paris. We went to Belgium. I mean, we traveled. And at the time, my man was like, do you want to be my cameraman? Just an excuse for him to travel with me. And he was like, for sure, let's go, And he's actually super talented, so it was kind of like a bonus for me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was just having him running around, doing like
he knew what he was doing.
Social media.
Social media videos. No. He actually is super talented, so that was a blessing in disguise for me. But yeah, so we were doing all of that, and then finally when we were like, well, maybe it's time to try to have kids. It was I thought I was gonna get pregnant right away.
Okay.
It took me about 1.5 years. At first I was like, oh, I thought it was just when I'm ready. And then life hit me. And it's just real conversation. It's real life. It's something that a lot of families go through when trying to figure out. And then I remember taking a pregnancy test and being like, oh, is this really real? Like calling my doctor.
It's very surreal when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then my doctor says to me, well, let's have you come in tomorrow and get some blood work because, this corona thing looks like it's going to be a little crazy. So why don't you just come in? And the labs are a little backed up. And this was right before, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Right before everything. And next thing you know, I went in and I didn't get my blood work back to like 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
Because the labs were so backed up.
That never had, so I had my baby in 2016. That was not a thing. You got your blood work back
a day or two,
day,
right?
Yeah.
You see, that's what all my friends were telling me. So, and then the adventure began.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this information I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm not even going for it. We over here pause.
Like,
you were looking at me. I'm looking at you yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's just real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised. Like, I will say, I'll tell you one thing. We're very open on I am so lucky that my partners on my show are the most supportive, uplifting, amazing human beings.
That's amazing.
I saw the episode where you did your birth announcement, and I thought they were all really sweet. How they just kind of rallied around.
We
you.
had tears.
Nice. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because you know what? There's a lot of people. You guys know, like we're friends, but we're coworkers. But this is my family. Like we spend the holidays together. You know what I mean? Like birth of our children when Ibra had his daughter. Like were there at kids' birthday parties, our own birthday party. Like we're super close. Like we really are like a family, which I feel is super important. And it's not always like that. We just happen to have a good little tribe, because we've all been through ups and downs in radio, and we've seen it all. And in you know what I mean? So it's not always like that, and we're lucky when we find people that we actually like.
Yeah.
But we've been at it for a couple years. The other day we were trying to figure out how long we've been together, and I don't know. I think it's like 9 years.
Oh wow!
I haven't even really called my PD. I'm like, can you do some real research and tell us, because we don't know. But yeah. As a woman who's been in the game from when it was very, very hard. I mean, it still is, but things have changed, And having a group of coworkers, especially the males that have been so just supportive. Like it could have easily been like, hey, we're gonna get someone to fill in for you, and that could have been the end of me. I mean, that's real life. You know what I mean? It happens. And they were like, no, we don't need nobody to fill in. We'll keep you here in spirit and make fun of you. And you know what I mean? Sometimes,
From the couch.
You know how I was? And then I actually worked throughout my entire pregnancy until one day I sent a text like, oh, it's going down. I'm not going to be in tomorrow. It was just one of those, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful. And then my daughter will get to see like all of it. Like you said, the announcement, everything is on YouTube, which is so bizarre that she'll be able to see that in the future. Like these stories, because from the announcement to the actual birth, and then when I came back, 2 weeks into it, I was already like, no, I need to check in. And I was like, here's my kid. Ta-da!
Yo, I love that. I actually, one, congratulations.
Thank you.
With that. And, I know what you're going through, because I see it with my brother. I don't know it personally, like, we said. But I actually want to go back now, like, take it back to culture. I love that your family's from Guatemala.
Guatemala,
right?
yeah.
So are you first generation?
Yes.
So I am as well. And that's kind of like my brand, and to be in the industry and to represent for your culture, how is that? And how did that kind of influence or inspire you to go to where, you are now? And did your parents actually agree with you going into?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, yeah. I think that.
Okay, so my parents are first. They came to the United States in I think in the 70s.
Same.
And my parents crossed the border illegally, and they did the most insane trip to get here, fleeing violence and fleeing a life that just wasn't what they wanted, to give me a better life. And I always, it's really easy to judge people to be like, oh, they need to do it the right way and do it this. You never know what people are going through.
Right.
I had to stop until I had a friend who was semi, she was conservative when it came to immigration, right? She didn't know my story. You know what I mean?
See what I'm saying?
She didn't know my story. So she was like, Papa, people should come here. I said, let me tell you. I was like, yeah, my mom actually almost died coming over here.
Wow.
She was pregnant with me. And, her journey is is one day I'll tell her story. But I was like, she almost died. My father was stabbed on his way over here. And I was like, my parents worked really, really hard. Any job that they could get, they were never on welfare. You know how they're quick to be like,
right, taking advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The welfare queen
you
thing.
You fall into the stereotype. And I was like, they're never on welfare. I was like, so I know what it is to struggle growing up. We figured it out. I was like, but I have an older sister that was going to college in Guatemala. And my mom was like, let her finish. She grew up with my grandmother. And when it's time, we'll do it the right way, quote unquote. It took us 13 years.
Wow.
13 years for her to get her paperwork right and for her to come here legally. So imagine not having your child for 13 years.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Because it's easier to get visas and all of that when you're coming from rich countries, you know. But when you're coming from third world country, it's like you're not necessarily the hot ticket, you know. Right. So it's so no, my parents thought it was crazy.
Yes.
They were like, I wanted to be a DJ, and they were like, we're not. Not getting you any equipment, no money. So, I was in love with hip hop. I remember I always like to tell the story because the Fugees were very important to me because they were one of the first groups that were so proud to be the refugee crew. Yes. Like waving the Haitian flags and bringing a coat on stage. I don't know if you guys remember them doing that. But it just made me feel like I was a part of something. You know, it made me feel like I was so proud that they were so proud. You know what I mean? That, for the most part, immigrant children have similar struggles, you have your identity issues and you're trying to fit in. And I fell in love with hip hop because hip hop made me feel like home. And in the neighborhood, I grew up in Mid-City, Los Angeles, and
come on, LA,
yeah,
Inglewood,
and in my neighborhood, I lived in a black neighborhood at the time, and a few Mexican folks, but my best friends growing up, the strong women who led me, who taught me, were all black women. And it was just something that was so that love has been embedded in me, and I learned so much, and I learned so much from my mother growing up trying to survive without speaking the language. You know what I mean? Like you have to learn a new language, you have to figure out how you're gonna feed your kids, and so hip hop to me was just like, at the time it was like this little subculture that was thriving in LA, and it was like. I love the women that were there. Like I remember listening to Sway and Tech and Carmelita, and I was like, God, she's so dope. Like I want to just be there with them. You know what I mean? And listening to OGs like Nautica Dela Cruz on the air. Yeah. And just being in love with it, and I wanted to do it so bad. Like, my mom still has like these cassette tapes of me like interviewing my little sister. And,
wow!
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, these like white cassette tapes of like me. I remember I lied, and we had a local AM station, and I lied about my age, and I got in there, and I had my own little hip hop radio show, me playing Mos Def and like raucous mixtapes, until they found out I was like 16 at the time, and they're like, "Come back when you can get a work permit."
Dang.
But I just wanted to be part of the culture, you know what I mean? I was like having friends send me like DJ Camilo mixtapes and Babito and Stretch mixtapes. And I loved it. I just was obsessed. And I would be like, one day, I was like, if Angie Martinez can do it, I could do it too, you know? And it really was just a dream, like a really like honest dream. And sometimes I feel like it sounds a little corny, but it was real for me at that time, when you're going through all your hardships. And it's really, really special to me when I get messages from, I get a lot of beautiful messages, period, from fans. But when I get like Guatemalan folks hit me and be like, thank you, because I've never seen us represented. I've never seen anyone, like talk about our culture and she's like, and in a positive light. So it makes me feel really proud, and it makes me feel really happy. And it's a whole, like a 360 moment for me, because I remember I was watching the Wakanda Forever trailer that came out, the first one, right? Of the second joint that's about to come out. So I'm watching it, and my sister calls me. She's like, "Oh my God, there's a Guatemalan actress that's gonna be in Wakanda Forever. She's an indigenous woman. You gotta see it." Wow. And there's a scene with, I think it's an underwater birth. I was crying.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a comic geek. That was Namor.
Okay.
Yeah, right. You saw that.
So I don't
we
follow.
Was there. When you,
yeah, okay.
I just thought it was beautiful.
Yeah. When we saw, say all the little comic geeks was online, like, you see the wings? You see the wings? That's Namor. Yeah,
I knew it was something.
So the woman in that scene, that actress, I started looking it up. But so I was like, I couldn't believe it. And to me, it's so beautiful because, I was like, wow, an indigenous Guatemalan woman is in Wakanda Forever. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? So I know how it feels, and it really, like, now more than ever, it means more to me now.
Yeah.
I feel proud.
Especially to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not only to see it, but you are a part of it. Like, they are holding you at that level.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing. That's so
and it
dope.
makes me feel really good, man. It really does. It really is a blessing.
Yeah. I love it.
Now you are on Ebro in the Morning, one of the biggest morning shows, and you guys are syndicated coast to coast, right? It's like what? San Antonio.
Yeah, we're in Portland.
Oh no, we got the list.
Yeah.
It's Portland, KTFM, San Antonio, Texas, Loud Radio, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Loud 101.5, State College, Pennsylvania, 101.9 KINK, Portland, Oregon, and a whole other list that AURN one is the lame. No, she out there.
But okay, and so I want to kind of take it back though a little bit in your grind to get on, right?
Yeah.
Because you did get to work with Angie Martinez.
Yeah.
So, that was like one of your first like nationally syndicated shows?
Okay, hold on. I think so. I'm trying to figure out because I don't know if do you guys remember Star and Buck Wild?
Yes, of course.
I don't know if they were syndicated. I'm not sure.
They were on MTV for like 6 weeks.
Okay,
that's how I got introduced to them.
I came up on New York radio.
So I don't know if they were syndicated, but I worked on that show.
Oh, you were on that show too? Yeah.
So I did. I started on radio early when I was like 20 in college. I was going to school. I was at BMCC. First of all, grew up in Los Angeles. Decided life happens. Yeah. And I needed to change. I needed to get out of my neighborhood. Wow. I needed to get out. I lived in a neighborhood where everybody was just kind of stuck on a corner doing what they do. And I was like, I can't be a part of this. I can't be another statistic. I literally saved up some money and bought a one-way ticket to New York because it's the number one market in radio. Now that I think about it, I would never let my kid do that. You know what I mean? My goddaughter's 19. I'm like, are you crazy?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did the same thing to go into DC, so I would never let my niece do that. Right? But I did it.
But we did it.
Yeah, I did it.
So I did it, and mind you, I didn't know. I knew a friend of a friend. That's it, who helped me like stay on her couch for the agreement was 3 weeks until I found an apartment. And she was wonderful, and she truly helped me get a place. And I just got student loans and lived off credit cards and figured it out. I was going to school at BMCC, and my good friend Quasi Hewlett does imaging for right now is The Beat. No, not The Beat. What's the other? The Real. Real in LA now. Sorry, he's been all over the place, but he's like a radio OG when it comes to imaging. He's a beast, and he started at Clear Channel. Well, I don't even know if he started somewhere else, but I got together with him at Clear Channel when they launched Power 105.1 in New York. Okay. And it was an old school station. It was all throwbacks. Yeah. And Monie Love was on there. Ed Lover was on there. Chabrak. All of them were on there. And he was doing the imaging for them. And while I was in college, he was like, because of a friend, you never know where life is going to take you. Yep. And, the impressions you leave on people. Yep. And if someone else believes in you, they'll make that call for you. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for all of that because that's why I'm here, And Kwasi was like, hey, there's a phone op position open. Do you want to take it? And back then, we didn't have social media managers. Right. So
it was the research department. I started. You talking about the phone op? Yeah, I started that.
Well, I was actually in studio just taking calls, getting winners when they gave away tickets, right? Wow. So I was like, of course I want to do that, So I came in, and he would have me voice and do little things wherever he could put my voice, and I would be so geeked that I was on a little commercial or a little soundbite. And honestly, that's where I really started. And I came up under Monie Love. She was one of the first ones who took me in. Okay. We're still friends to this day. I was answering her phones. I was carrying her baby. I was getting her lunch and her coffee. You know what I mean? Like doing whatever. And
the grind was real.
And she she really opened my eyes though, because she would be breastfeeding and cutting up breaks. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, like this is what a superwoman looks like. You know what I mean? Who's like really like thriving and doing it. And then and Steph Lova really took me under her wing, and then I learned and Deja Vu, who is so crazy because now she's at WBLS in New York, and we see each other all the time. She's the one who like whipped my ass whenever I would be wilding out. It was like get your board's got to be tight, And all these incredible women like helped me so much. And then once I became a producer, I started being a producer for Star and Buck Wild until things blew up. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, were they syndicated? I don't know. It was the
Aaliyah stuff, right?
That's what I was thinking.
No, the Aaliyah stuff got them kicked out of Hot 97. And then Power 105.1 took them in. It was the drama between them and Envy.
Him and Envy.
Kids. And it got nasty. It was terrible. It was terrible. But But yeah, I got caught up in the middle of that. So, and then from there, that's when I was like, after all that drama, I was like, I need to try to just get my own situation. Wow. And I started sending out tapes to anyone who would hear me. And then I got called back from a Connecticut station, and they were just kind of like, maybe not. And then Miami station, I was like, move to Miami? I was like, and then Univision had opened up a reggaeton station in New York. And I was like, well, I speak Spanish. I'm not Puerto Rican, so I don't really know anything about reggaeton, but hey, you know what I mean? I was like, let me try it, you know? And it was cool because there wasn't enough reggaeton to program a whole station. So it was like reggaeton, hip-hop and R&B, and reggae. So I was like, I'm in.
Very like underground mixed.
Yeah.
I grew up uptown.
So you know. And that's it. And they were like, I was like, do I have to speak all Spanish? They were like, no. Give us like 60, 60-40 or whatever you could rock. And that was my first on-air gig in New York. So I'm very blessed because, people have to move around.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go to a smaller market and just have to
in a big market. That's a huge deal.
It is.
And my first gig was middays.
Wow.
I didn't even do weekends. Like they were just like, go ahead, show us what you got. I was like, okay. I learned from the best. So I was like, I learned what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And that was my first like radio gig. Yeah.
What shift was it?
It was middays.
Midday. So you had the midday shift. That was your first shift?
My first on-air shift.
Wait, so like I'm a little bit jealous. So first of all, everything that she said that she didn't have to do, I had to do, right? I had to go to that small market.
Most of my radio peers did. That's why I was like.
I was overnight, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. I was overnight. Yeah. And so you were middays at Power.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No, it's like the reggaeton station.
At the Univision station. It was called La Calle, which
that was
means
still
the
a
street.
big deal. You're competing with all of the people that you're looking up to. Were you nervous at all?
What? Of course I was. At first I was like, when they told me middays, I was like, okay.
Can't show it, but like inside.
Yeah. But I had done literally, because I was when I was at Power 105.1, I had done every shift. I was like the board op, you know? So I know what it is to spend New Year's in a radio station, like countdown because I'm running the board, or holidays when everybody's with their families. And I would be the one taking those shifts because I didn't have any family. Right. So I was like, you go be with your family. I'll hold it down, you know? But being like that allowed people to like have mad love for me. And being like, yo, she held me down. So whenever I needed anything, like, they would be like, I got you, you know? So it made me feel really special. And whenever I just needed direction, everyone that I mentioned has always been really open and really awesome with me. But yes, and you know what's crazy is that the funniest part, when I think back at that station, it was a party station. So, Pro Style was on that station, and then more like and then a lot more of like a more Latin jocks. So I came from hip hop, and they were more Latin. Yeah. So it was a very interesting dynamic trying to learn each other because it's a different world. And but it was a party station, and we were doing parties every night. And at that time, I was doing parties every night, hosting parties and live broadcasts. And I was like, in the club till like 3. I was like, I got to make it to class by, you know what I mean? By I had to make it by on-air shift and then make it to class. So I was trying to balance it all.
Wow. So you were definitely a student of the game. How did that call feel when you came from Hot 97, knowing historical? Because they were even historical then.
What? Yes. Are you kidding me? Like we were rocking at Univision, but we were in a way we were competing because Hot has always been the streets. But we were making our mark too. And I remember people be like, who the hell are these kids that are like, you know what I mean? Like doing all these clubs and all these parties. And then eventually, when you get booked as DJs and hosts, you start doing the same parties. Yeah. So I remember being on like one of those like Puerto Rico weekends, Memorial Day weekend, like those parties.
I came to one of those like when I was at Howard. I think it was like Lumi D performing and all that.
It's nonstop energy too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man,
nobody's too cool.
Nina Sky came up. Well, I'll tell you, I had
and
my
Nori,
flag.
it was just one of those. And I remember DJing off, and I was like, he's like, you're doing good, kid. He's like, I see you.
Nice.
And he told me, he was like, I'm watching you. And I was like, oh my God,
That's
God. Inside I wanted to throw up, but it was being so like, thank you. And DJ Camilo always made sure that I was good. Because I was like the only girl with all these dudes, you know what I mean? And then I would tell him, I was like, I'm going to make it to Hot one day. I'm going to make it to Hot one day, I would tell him. And he's like, okay. And he would just smile, right? And then, so I did my stint in La Calle. The station ended up flipping to Latin. I quit because that wasn't, I am Latina, but I don't live that lifestyle. I love salsa and merengue, okay, but I don't live it. And I truly believe that I didn't want to hold a space that I don't live. Mm-hmm. So give that space to somebody else who is a true fan. And that's, you know, so I quit. Everyone thought I was crazy. That you quit a job in the #1 market. But in my soul, I wasn't happy. Right. I started hating going to work, and I was like, what am I doing here? So I quit, and I got a job at Sirius XM. At first I thought I was just doing voiceovers, and they had like a similar channel that was like reggaeton, R&B, reggae. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll do it. I did that for a little bit, and then I was like subbing because Cypher Sounds had the Cypher Sounds effect on Sirius XM. And he would be like, come, just do like a, you know, when Angela at the time, that was their show. When she was out, he was like, come fill in. So I would fill in. I would have a ball with Cypher. Like Cypher's my good friend. And then just little by little, he's like, you should be on Hot. You should be on Hot. And then when I accepted another gig because I was broke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
waiting for you to throw that part in.
Oh, yeah. I was broke.
I
was broke, and I was like, man, I need a radio job. So Univision had reopened another radio station, and they offered me nights. And then I went back. I did it. And I was like, I should be happy because it's nights in New York City in a major market. And I hated it.
Wow.
I hated it. And I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, am I stupid for quitting again? You know what I mean? So I saved up some money, and then I quit again. And then I quit again. And everyone thought I was bugging. But in my soul, I was like, this can't be it, you know? And I was so broke that my friends Nina Sky were on tour, and they were like, do you want to be our tour manager? I was like, I don't even know what that means. And they're like, who cares? Just come and answer emails.
I love it.
So I was really like all over Europe. I was in Germany. I was in, you name it, like south of France. I was in Switzerland, in the Netherlands, in Denmark. Like I was everywhere with them. And that's how I was paying. I would come home for like a week, pay all my bills, have my friend watch my dog. I said, you got it, stay. You know, and until finally, you know, our tour was over. And I'll always, like, they're my good friends. And then I was like, okay, I have a little bit of money. I got to get a job, you know. And I was like doing voiceover work wherever I could. I was never too proud. I was like, hey, if you have anything, I'm available. I'm looking for work, you know. And then Cypher Sounds was like, let me get you an interview at Hot. And I was like, oh my God, you know. And next thing you know, I had an interview. And at the same time, Power 105 was calling me to be on air. So it was like a full circle moment for me. So I was like, I have an offer, a possibility at Power, and a possibility at Hot. Like, who am I, you know?
Yeah.
And I went to Hot, and Ibra was such an asshole.
Really?
Oh, sorry. Can I curse?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
He was such an asshole. When he met me, he was like, well, I don't need anybody on air. And I know you have your little on-air experience, but I don't have nothing for you. I was like, so why am I here? Yeah. You know? And he was like, well, you could do some YouTube interviews, and we need somebody for, like, digital. I was like, what the hell is digital? I was like, I don't know, man. And he's like, yeah, you could be I heard you were a really great producer. I could help you. And I was just like, that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? I feel like, am I going backwards? And then I got the whole, sometimes in life, you get to get a few steps back. You know what I mean? To take that leap. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, or should I just take this job? It was like a Sunday night on air once a week at Power 1051, you know, and still was a maybe, mind you. It was just a maybe. And I was like, nope, did that already. Let me just try it. And then I took the job, and I was still broke. And I was still broke. I had quit school because I was like, okay, I'll be back. let me just, you know, try to survive and pay my rent. And I was just getting like club gigs and whatever I could hustle doing, and tutoring. I was doing whatever I could, a little voiceover, until I became a digital producer for Angie Martinez. So I was helping her with all her social media stuff, her website. And when I tell you, that woman took me in, and she was just wonderful. Like, she's wonderful, and she's not one to take anybody in. You know, she's very particular. And I was so honored, and I had so much fun with her. And I love her so much because she trusted me with her brand. I was never a yes person to everything. I'd be like, I don't think so. And this is why, So I'm so grateful for her. And you know what? Next thing you know, when she was like, I got to go to LA, Terrence J's going to be filling in. I was like, okay, cool. I would produce the show for her. And then so eventually she was like, I was like, okay, who's coming to fill in? She was like, nobody, you are.
Woo.
And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you can do it. She was like, stop acting crazy. I'll see you when you get back. And she just gave me a shot.
Love it.
And I started filling in for her. And after a while, Ibra was like, all right, you could do it. And he started giving me more shifts. And then I started doing some weekend shifts. And then I started with Cypher. And when Cypher's morning show broke up, it was just him and Peter. And they needed a female. And they brought me in.
Wow.
And then that's how it just happened. This is like, it's very, you guys know radio. So that's how it just kind of goes like that. Mm-hmm. And then when things, it was a very experimental show. And then Ebro came in on air, and there was a lot of tough decisions. And he came in, and Cypher decided to pursue his comedy.
Yeah.
So he left, and it's been Ebro, Rosenberg, and myself. And we brought in Cast One as our DJ, who's amazing. And that's it. We've been squad ever since.
I love it.
It's so random, but like it wasn't all pretty. The broke part was really real. I just want to keep reiterating.
No, it's okay, because I'm feeling it in my soul. I'm like, because we got to get the broke part out.
Listen,
because
I know what it is to live off spaghetti for a week.
Yeah. And I can tell you can still taste it now.
Yeah.
You still know what that taste is like.
I went by a pizza spot. I used to live in the Bronx in Castle Hill, and I was like, I remember when I had to choose between either having a slice or getting like a real like a chicken parm sandwich, because I was like, all right, so eat for 2 days or split this. You know what I mean? Cracking your knuckles, making these decisions. Man. Like real life, just real life.
You happen to witness a lot of things, because I remember you come up and just kind of always hearing your voice.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch like an official, like an announcement, like Laura Stylez is here, because the morning show at 97 was going through, I almost chuckled out loud, because you're right. In that era, when they were talking about digital producing in radio, they were so foreign to it, but it was growing. Now it's an actual
it's a
job.
Real job.
It's a LinkedIn account. Like, it's a real thing. But back then, it was like digital. Why would I want to do digital?
Like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was applying to magazine jobs on my come up, and like one of the first jobs I applied to was XXL. It was my dream job at the time, and I remember like when I went in for my interview, I had clips from I had been writing for the different hip hop websites and stuff like that. And the publisher was like, oh, so you came to get a real job. And I was like, no, I'm telling you digital. And they did not see it for digital.
And they were saying that kind of stuff to your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were saying it to your face.
Like, that's cute. You know what I mean? Like, little did they know that that's what was going to be the
satellite was considered where you go when you couldn't get hired, and all these different languages. So you're sitting there, you're witnessing this, and you're on the morning show. Mm-hmm. What was your earliest, or you can say even most recent, what the F moment, like your most what the fuck moment? Because you had a front row seat to a lot of things.
It's been so much. I don't even, can I tell you something? Sometimes I just have a blur and other people have to remind me because it's a lot. It's a lot. But we've had moments where it's like with each other that have been like really real. You know what I mean? Like I remember, I'll tell you one moment that I had, I remember I got so mad at Ebro. And he was like making fun of me because I had gotten an opportunity to do a podcast for some college basketball situation that was happening. I know nothing about sports. College basketball, what? I don't know. You know what I mean? And it was a big bag, the biggest bag I've ever been offered.
Oh, okay. So
I was like, what the hell do I do? I was like, and I'm like, Peter was like, Rosenberg was like, don't worry, if you need anything, I will feed you stuff. But you know what? I want you to go in there. It's like they don't want you for stats. They want you for lifestyle.
Yeah.
Just have natural conversation about life, Laura. A lot of times that they look at these players like numbers and stats, but how about real life? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. You know, and Ebro told me the same thing. You got it. Why you worried? You got it. So I was like, okay. And I remember one time something happened in college basketball, and he was trying to play me on the air because I didn't know. He's like, aren't you doing a podcast? And I was so angry. And I got
not calling you out.
I got so angry at him, and I was like, I picked up the paper, and I was like, and I took off my headphones. I was like, why the fuck don't you read it? or something. Like, I cursed at him on the air. I was like, what the fuck? Why don't you read it? And I looked at him. I was like, you're a fucking asshole. And that part was dumped because Shawnee Culture was like, you know? And I walked out the studio. And I remember walking out the studio being in tears. I was like, well, that's the end of my career. You know,
we're all laughing.
Yeah. And I'm crying because, you know, when you're so angry, and I'm not even a big, like, you know, I don't cry for just any. Well, now that I had a kid, I cry for anything. But before, it took a lot. Like, I'm a real Scorpio. It takes a lot to get it out of me. And then I remember everyone was like, "Oh my God!" And people were texting me like, "What happened? What happened?" And you know. And then I'm like, don't quit. And I remember Ebro coming in there looking at me, and I remember going like, why would you do that to me? Why would you embarrass? And he's looking at me like a deer in headlights.
I didn't really realize.
And then he's like, I am so sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't think that it was going to affect you like this. I didn't mean. And I would, you know, when people are apologizing to you and you're still angry. So I was like, no. I was like, I need a minute. And then finally my PD was like, you know, you can't just curse on the air. We could get fined for that. And, you know, you're responsible. And I was like, you know.
Hold on.
And it ended up working out. You know what I mean? But it's like internal battles. And he apologized to me. And he's like, I'm sorry. And then I'm the one that's like, don't make it a big deal. Just keep going. Act like nothing, you know? And, but to show you that we've had real, like, we've egos have collided sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I've had to save some of my crew members from, like, wilding out. But overall, we always hold each other down. Nice. We always hold each other down. And I remember when one particular moment that I felt was so whack, and I thought it got taken so out of context, was when Kodak Black came to the station. And I know this is the one that everybody was like, oh, my God. And it was so stupid because, you know, we've always been very open about how we feel about sexual assault. Hello. Yeah. We all have mothers, daughters, cousin, whatever. You know, we came from women. Mm-hmm. So Ebro's always been very like, this is where we stand. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who you are. You know, we've been very open about it. So when he came, the way Ebro said it was like, I know you're going through a case right now. And here at Ebro in the Morning, we take sexual assault very serious. And just know that maybe you could, if you need to clear your name up or something along those lines. Like, I'm not saying everything word for word, obviously, but, and he got pissed. He was pissed that we even brought it up, right? But he gave him such an alley-oop. So if you really listen to it, he was basically like, hey, we know that this is this is what's happening, and you know you're going through a case, so maybe you can come back and talk about it later. He could have just said, cool, yes.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? And he started getting super angry, and to the point where it's like we were trying to make jokes with him, and he was like,
he wasn't even having it.
Yeah, I remember he was all silent.
Yeah. And then we were like, and then I think Ebro got really annoyed, like basically like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And then he got really pissed, and then he like walks out of the interview, and then Ebro walks behind him, and he's like, fam, like trying to tell him like, yo, I can't not mention it. It's all over the headlines. And he was trying to tell him, yo, that's why I told you can come back and clear your name. And they were arguing outside, you know, his security. And then it became a thing. And it was super unnecessary. Mm-hmm. It was super unnecessary. And then afterwards, like, all right, it happened. It's over. No, it's not, because the internet comes in, you know?
Of course.
So everybody was coming for us. And the internet is vile because they were Googling addresses and personal information. And I remember being on the subway, and this is why I stopped taking the train by myself, and some dude was trying to press me.
See?
Wow.
Press me. Like, this is how like passionate people are about it. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, you know?
It's just really
like a grown-ass man trying to press me on the subway, like about an interview. You know what I mean? Like, to the point, I remember there was another man who stepped in. He's like, are you okay? And I was like,
nah.
Like, next stop, I jumped out. I was like, I got to get out of here. My man was like, you're not taking the train anymore, you know? Yeah. But it was like, and it's weird because, you know, we have a cool job and we have a voice, but I'm not a celebrity. I'm not rich. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I have a little something, but I'm not walking around with security. Like, are you crazy? You know, like.
But sometimes it's needed.
You know, but I also cannot afford 24-hour security. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's expensive, you know? Like, that's not part of my budget. I got a mortgage to pay. Like, what are we talking about? Like, why does it have to get to that, you know? Right. So, and we've had our times where we've had some psychos, like even when we've been very vocal about Kanye West.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've been very vocal about him, and I've had some of his stands like approach us in a disrespectful way, where even sometimes my man has got to step in, and I was like, don't knock anybody out. We're not doing this right now, not over a damn opinion. You know what I mean? So it's you know, it's interesting. It's beautiful how sometimes people get so close and so passionate, and like when I announced that I was pregnant, and like people called me and they were like, I shed a tear, I was so happy. So it makes you feel good that people are so like in tune with you and that they rock with you. But sometimes there's also a dark side to it that people forget, you know. And for us, it's a really weird gray area because again, we're not celebrities. I take the train, I go to the post office, you know what I mean? I go to the grocery store like everyone else. And there's people who feel really entitled, who feel like they want to give you their 2 cents. Or if you don't, you know, stop for a certain conversation, like I've been in arguments with people where they just like invade your personal space.
I think that's one of the like scariest things, to have such a high platform like that and be so opinionated. But like, do you ever have to hold back? Like, I shouldn't say that, because even though I believe it, I can't say this because I don't want that. Because that's kind of y'all job too. Like, you know what I mean? And especially you do want a viral moment just because, you know, it also pushes, but it's like, damn, where's the line that you don't cross?
I'll be honest, I don't care about a viral moment. I don't. I don't need a viral moment. To me, it's like there's some people who just live for that. They want that. I could care less. I really could care less, you know? But I just try to be as honest. I am careful with my words, but I'm very honest about how I feel. Nice. And I just think it's important because it's like I'm doing a disservice to my audience, and like I have an opportunity, this beautiful opportunity to be in front of a microphone, to be just true to yourself. You know what I mean? So I was one of the first ones who was like, F Kanye West and all this BS. You know what I mean? And I've been very critical about, conservative Latinos, and you know, and how I've been very critical about a lot of things, and I've gotten horrible pushback from it, and you know, it is what it is, man. This is how I feel, you know. So I don't know. I choose my words wisely, but I also don't hold back. Good. You know, I try not to. You know what I mean? I can't. You can't do that. You can't.
I do think there should be consequences, though, just to kind of shift gears a little bit, like to when the fandoms go crazy. I mean, I'm not saying fight everybody that approaches you, but I don't know if you all know, there was an incident on Twitter recently. A vlogger by the name of Kimberly Nicole Foster got attacked by Barb's. She tweeted that Nicki Minaj has to be a horrible person, and then it was just they all just descended on her. But it was like, it wasn't just we don't like what you said.
They put her address out there.
They put her address out there. They were threatening to come to kill her.
The Barbs are terrorists.
It's very dangerous.
She's in litigation now, trying to figure out if she could actually sue these people. I mean, it's not even about money. It's like she kind of wants them to apologize, and she's trying to set a precedent, because there's really no precedent around this. Like, I don't think there's any specific type of lawyer that can really.
I know
help
it's
with
a
that
very
sort of thing.
gray area.
Yeah,
it's a very gray area, and it's scary. Like it really is scary. And then to find out like how people could just dig up personal information on the internet, and they will pay to figure it out. It's wild. The internet is wild.
And if you tell one of those sites to take your information off, then another one pops up.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. So.
You made it like a real cute thing, but what was it like for you when you had to like announce that you actually had a man and you were in love? Because you know, we kind of been in this game long enough where you know you didn't say those things. You know, everybody just kind of came in, and if you were a big star, you got divorced, someone read about it.
Yeah.
But you know, you happened to be a witness when we were personalities were becoming more transparent. What was that like for you to be able to say, yeah, I got this man and I got this partner in that moment, and everybody, all your whole team is making this big thing?
Because so I was very much like a party girl. Like I was out, you know, like I told you, I was hosting parties. I was doing all these things. You know what I mean? I was like out, and I was never with like a significant other. And I had dated, but it was always weird because, and I'm sure all of you could feel me to a certain extent. Like people, like we have a cool job, right? And it's fun, but it's a job.
Yep.
And So I remember I was dating this firefighter at the time, and we went to a party.
Oh, I know, that was a trip.
And somebody, and I was like down to earth, a hardworking dude. I was like, he's great. And then like somebody, I think it was like, I don't remember what rapper, but somebody had sent me a bottle to my table, right? And they were hosting that night and sent me a bottle, and he got so insecure and so weird.
I was gonna say, for lack of a better word, civilians, they don't understand.
And I was like, honestly, this is a bottle that the club probably gave him for free.
Right.
I was like, great, we don't have to pay for a bottle.
Right.
This is great. And it was not cute. Like it was to the point where it was always like an issue, and it just wasn't like you know, it was an ego thing, and it was so sad because I thought we were cool and we were not. You know, so the whole ego dynamic played a really interesting part, and it was a learning process for me. And then you got people who just want to date you for the idea of you. They like the idea of you, and I was like, no. And then I didn't want to date anyone in the industry because I was like, I'm not getting caught up in no scandals, no nothing. I don't know, nobody my business. So it was one of those things that I was my job is to be open on the air. So I had an opinion about everything, but I never talked about my personal life in that matter. And then they were like, you're going to have to at least say something. So finally I was like, all right. And then one day I started introducing the guy I was dating, and I was like, no, this is it. Like, it's my man. And then, everybody was like, it was so funny because they all like big brothers were like giving him like
the grill.
The super grill. And he's a regular dude from the Bronx. He's Dominican. It was in marketing, like and I loved it. He made me laugh. He was so much fun. And I remember the day that Ebro pulled it out of me and we said on the air. I was so embarrassed, but I was like, F it. You know what I mean? Like, this is my life.
And now you're the love guru.
Yeah. You know how we got there.
That's a fast forward. Like, you went to not dating to actually giving advice.
Yes. And fast forward, like, this is a person I have a child with now. Like, we stood strong. Ricardo's amazing. Like, he's amazing. And we talk about our relationship issues, and he doesn't, he's not one to get super hung up on it. He doesn't really care. So he used to listen to the show when he used to drive into work, but now he doesn't. And now sometimes he'll catch it on like a podcast or something. But he's, it's not easy. It's not easy. You all know it's not easy, but you got to be transparent. But
So, before we get up out of here, I want to pull something that no one really knows. And Laura, you're going to go last. Jonathan, we'll start with you.
Okay.
What is the go-to song you go to that can always put you in that right mood? I think I know it with you, but I'm going to let you tell it.
Nuck if you buck. Come on, man. Nuck if you buck. Like, what?
I didn't want to say it for you. I was like.
I will always say that. Like, you can't test me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a frat boy. Undergrad, I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. So it was like, we're always known as the pretty boys. But when that came on, they was like, oh, they kind of hood too. You know what I mean? So it just touches my soul.
I feel it. To me, I'm sorry, but I love Rihanna.
Rihanna.
I'm such a Rihanna fan, so sometimes I just be like, I'm trying to get ready. I'll be like, where's Pour It Up? I need this in my life right now. So anything Rihanna, that Anti album is my favorite, one of my favorite albums.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite albums, and that's been the soundtrack to my life for like a minute now since it dropped. Yeah. Like it's how you have those albums that you don't stop playing, like you just don't. Like, I'm a Rihanna fan, and I can't wait. And I think she's going to drop an album during the Super Bowl.
I think so, too. I said the same thing. I think
so, too.
We all hope so. Star, yours?
Oh, I like dance music. I love a good band. Okay, so what came to my... Okay, Cameo, Candy.
Okay, yeah.
Candy? Okay.
I mean, that's classic, so, yeah.
That will always get me on the dance floor.
I definitely got to say all of those are great choices. I try not to be so moody. Mine is like depending on what month we in. So like for example, Halloween, I'm always playing Ghetto Boys Mind Playing Tricks on You. But my go-to song will always still kind of be Dr. Dre, Let Me Ride. I'm from Detroit, so I'm a man. I like to drive.
Yes.
One thing that's so frustrating about being on the East Coast, you stop every 2 minutes.
Drivers are
but we drive all the time.
I think it's Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that though. Like seriously, Detroit drivers.
I grew up driving from the passenger side. You know what I'm saying? Like I take pride in that. It was New Jersey. It was we love New Jersey Drive. Like we was like, oh, that was me. Right. That was my community. So I gotta say Dr. Dre, Let Me Ride. You know what I'm saying? I definitely gotta say yo, to have you here has been an honor, like especially to watch your growth, because we in the era right now where things are so instant and people don't hit a backstory too much.
Oh my
they
God.
think like you just rolled over, you made a couple tweets, you had a couple viral moments, and then boom, here you are. But now you running your own festival, Envision, right?
Yes,
You're doing that. You want to talk about that before you get up out here?
Yeah, I would love to. Okay, so me and my one of my best girlfriends, Sharifa Murdoch, who is an incredible woman in the fashion world, in the trade show business. We've been friends since we were in college, trying to figure it out. That was like my big sister, who, but like the sister who would be like, "How's your credit? Are you saving?" Like the real conversations that like not too many people have with you, you know. So she was setting me straight from the beginning, and she would tell me, "Hey, I have like these 50 backpacks. I want to get a group of girls together and do like a give back. What can you do?" I'm like, "All right, I can get some concert tickets," or I would call a friend to get like, I don't know, like from shampoos or whatever we could come up with. Yeah. And we would do these special like days where we would have our girlfriends come in and talk to these young girls about self-care. And then at the end, we would do like mood boards. And at the end, we would be like, open up the doors, be like, we have everyone come and get free stuff. And we would sit there and cry and be so happy that we were able to give back to, like little girls in the Bronx and in Brooklyn. Yeah. And then we started doing it more often. And Sharifa was like, "Laura, we need to make this bigger. We need to make this bigger." And then she came up with Envsn Fest. And Envision is Envsn Fest. And we started it. This weekend was our third one. And our first one was, it was 2 days of panels of incredible women. Because I imagine like a complex con, but just towards young girls. Nice. And that age when you're getting out of high school, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. And I wanted to make sure they could see women that look like them, talk about their careers and their paths and where they came from and how they had their dreams and they did it. You know what I mean? So I curated a panel of women in music. We had women in sports, women in the fashion world, mental health, sex education. So, and also, I remember hearing from my girls who are public school teachers, they were cutting a lot of the programs, you know what I mean? And so we created this event where we had all these sponsors came in, like big companies like Clinique, who had like pop-up booths, and small girls who had a little plant business, who had lash business. So I had all these entrepreneurs sitting with huge brands next to them to feel like they can. Yeah. Like they're on the same level as the rest of them. And I curated a concert, and at the time I got Doja Cat. Nice. And this is Doja Cat when she was just had YouTube, like that Tia Tamara and the
I'm a cow. Yeah.
Yes, that. Saweetie. I had Tinashe.
Oh, nice.
I had Queen Naija. So it was all Malibu Mitch and Danny Lay, like all women, and I hired all women DJs. And we had a wonderful festival, and we did workshops how to protect yourself on the internet, like the stuff that I felt like we really needed, and yoga. It was really cool. Okay. So we did it, and then we did it again in a second year, and then COVID came and kind of, set us back. But we just finished doing it this weekend on a very, very much smaller scale because we just didn't have the money, but we were like, we can't let this go. We got to continue. And I've sponsored over 300 girls from inner city youth programs, after school programs. Wow. I work with the Lower East Side Girls Club. I do a lot of mentoring, and I teach workshops for them. And so I hired those little girls to come and DJ with my other girls that are on the radio DJing. So it's beautiful. It's such a passion project, and it makes me so happy. And just to have like a wonderful weekend of like, and even though it's geared towards women, it's open to everybody. And I love seeing all like the fellas come with their daughters, with their sisters, or just come to support, because we come to everybody. He's trying to support. And it's been beautiful. It's been hard. It's hard to raise money and make it happen. But, Sharifa and I are just so passionate about it. And I feel like it could open a lot of doors for a lot of people. I've connected young girls with mentorship programs who've gotten jobs, So it's been dope. And I think the moment for me, though, I remember I had a group of girls. My girlfriend was like, "Hey, I have like 10 girls that I work from an ESL program. Most of them came from Haiti and Dominican Republic and some Jamaican." And I was like, bring them. So I hooked them up with VIP bags and gave them all these goodies. And they stopped me. And when my friend wanted me to meet them, and they're like crying, they're like, "We've never been to a concert before." Wow. And let me tell you, my eyeliner was running because sometimes, you take for granted, it's like a concert for us, like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's go, but there's people who've never had that experience. Like never, don't have the money to pay 50, 60, 100. God knows tickets now are so expensive for a concert. So for them to be like, we've never experienced something like this before. It was just a moment for me that I was like, we have to continue. Like we have to, because, it's not about ability. It's about access.
Yes.
So being able to just connect people with the right, just have those right connections that I wish I could have had somebody to help me out in that way. But now it's important for us to be that for the next generation, And let me tell you, I've had my past interns get me jobs.
What? Come on.
I've had past interns honor me and give me opportunities. I remember one time Ford Motors called me for like this dinner and they were like, yeah, you're being honored. Da, 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 da. And I was like, how'd you find me? They were like, oh, Fernando. I'm like, Fernando? Who's Fernando? Then they start showing me and I'm like, Fernando? Who, you know what I mean? Who used to give me my lunch? And he told me, he was like, he used to buy my lunch every time I work with you. He's like, I was so broke. I was like, I couldn't afford lunch at that time. I would pack my lunch, but you would buy me my lunch, and I never forget that. And I was, again, tears.
Yeah, little things like that.
Tears,
yeah.
Is very important.
Yeah, and it's like, and I'm a big believer, like, and it's something that's important. You always remember how people make you feel.
Yeah.
You always remember how they make you feel. And so to me, that's my passion right now. Like, obviously my show is my passion also, but like Envsn Festival is super special. And follow us on Instagram, Envsn Fest. And you can see everything, all the cool things we're doing. We're trying to get more programming. And listen, the community has helped me by connecting me with the right people. Reach out to this person for this and this. So it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And we just wrapped up our 3rd year.
I love to see the joy that brings you. It's like such a genuine smile. Like we feel that, So that's a beautiful thing.
It makes me so happy. It makes me happy, guys. Like it's
forward.
Yeah, man. You have to because, like I told you, like those people that you've helped along the way, they'll help you one day. Yep. You'll see.
That's what we all have to learn that. Everybody has to learn that out
That's
there.
actually dope. And I will hope that that the door is open for you to come back, even if you just want to talk about Envisioning Fest.
That
way you don't have to wait till last minute.
Yes.
Because I feel like, it leaves people's minds. So
please,
come back. And come back just because you're dope.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
This is amazing.
I think I speak for everybody here. We enjoyed it. Like I could listen to you all day. Like, and then you kept
brightened up the rainy day.
Yeah. Definitely brought up the rainy day.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you very much. I highly appreciate you. This has been another edition AURN Podcast. We had the guru and the walking icon, Laura Stylez on here. Shout out to my guy, Jonathan Star Rock. I'm Jay Hall. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Be blessed with successful. We'll talk to you soon.